welcome to Studio 5. Pastor and best-selling author Greg Laurie is with us today with a new book. Recording artist Marica Chisolm is here with new music, and we have your first look at the series Ms. Marvel. We've got lots to share, so let's begin with the countdown of the top 5 stories in the world of uplifting entertainment. Here are your first 2. At number 5.
These others were just forgotten people in history.
These others are Kenny Washington, Woody Strode, Bill Willis, and Marion Motley, who the Pro Football Hall of Fame will recognize as trailblazers at this year's enshrinement ceremony.
These men integrating football a year before Jackie Robinson is crucially important. These 4 men created a foundation on which generations built upon, and their actions, both on and off the field, opened a door that allowed other people to follow.
The game will honor the Forgotten 4 with the Ralph Hay Pioneer Award, which is presented to individuals who've made significant, innovative contributions to professional football.
Bill Willis, Marion Motley, Kenny Washington, Woody Strode, they never had the adulation, they never really gained the acknowledgement that, say, a Jackie Robinson did for what they did for pro football.
At number 4.
Hi, I'm Devon Franklin. I want you to hear our story.
Producer and preacher Devon Franklin has a new role as a relationship expert on a marriage reality series. But he says shame nearly caused him to turn down the invitation, posting on Instagram, "Last year I agreed to do it, and then my divorce hit. They came to me and said that didn't matter to them because they still felt like I could help their couples. I felt shame, and that voice in my head said, 'You're a failure. How can you help anybody save their marriage when yours didn't work out?' That voice in my head also had me thinking about what would people say. And then I had to ask myself, is this how I'm going to live the rest of my life? In fear about what people say. I refuse to live in fear or shame."
No matter what you're going through, you are not alone.
The countdown continues throughout the rest of today's show. Pastor and best-selling author Greg Laurie is tracing the lives of rock stars, entertainment figures, and legends in his latest book, Lennon, Dylan, Alice, and Jesus, the spiritual biography of rock and roll. He cracks open the pages with us in this week's Studio 5 sit-down.
From the best-selling author of Johnny Cash, The Redemption of an American Icon, and Steve McQueen, The Salvation of an American Icon, comes Greg Laurie's new book, titled Lennon, Dylan, Alice, and Jesus. Greg uses his own memories, interviews, and observation to draw from the lives of rock legends as they descend to the depths of hell before ascending to the highest heaven.
You begin this book answering the question that many people are going to ask. Why is Pastor Greg Laurie writing a book on Lennon, Dylan, Alice, and Jesus? Why?
Well, it's a great question. To quote the great theologian Joan Jett, I love rock and roll.
But also of sweet salvation in the redemptive power of Jesus Christ.
But the reason I wrote the book was not to be an apologist for rock music or rock musicians. It's really looking behind the curtain at what happens to these people that have everything that most people dream of and see the emptiness of it. In some ways, it's a flyover of so many people that are iconic. You know, they've written the soundtrack for our lives. Some chapters are a cautionary tale. Others tell a story of redemption.
Would you say their struggle is any different than the average believer's struggle?
I don't think it's different. It's just escalated. You know, if you're sitting in one of your 10 homes, getting ready to get in the limo and get on your private jet and fly to your yacht, yeah, that's a little different than most people. But the difference is between them and us is they've seen those things do not satisfy. It's a story of redemption, of people that came to faith, like Richie Furay, founder of the Buffalo Springfield, Roger McGuinn, leader of the Byrds, Kerry Livgren of Kansas, Lou Graham of Foreigner, in Alice Cooper, who is featured on the cover.
Indeed. One of the things you say is there'll be 3 surprises when we get to heaven. Number 1, some of the people we thought would be there won't be there. Number 2, some of the people we never thought would be there will be there. And number 3, we will be there.
Yeah.
What made you...
Well, the premise of that is, so John Lennon's on the cover of the book.
Yes.
So people, you know, people love to judge a book by its cover, literally.
Yes.
Because I'll post a video or an image of the book and they'll say, oh, well, you know, John Lennon wasn't a Christian. He said the Beatles were more popular than Jesus. Well, this is why you need to read the book. So I explore the story of John Lennon, who indeed did say the Beatles were more popular than Jesus. And arguably, at that moment in time, for many young people, that was probably true. As a young kid that didn't know anything about Jesus, I certainly admired the Beatles more. That was before I became a Christian. But Lennon changed through the years, and one unknown thing about John Lennon's life is he asked Jesus Christ to come into his life. Now, there's different versions of the story. One version is he was watching the 700 Club and saw a movie about Jesus. Another version is he heard Billy Graham preach and he came to Jesus. But whatever it was that prompted this commitment, he wrote 2 Christian songs, but it didn't last very long. So here's my premise. John was tragically gunned down outside of the Dakota building where he lived in 1980. My question is, if John Lennon, in the final moments of his life, because he was conscious after he was shot and was being driven to the hospital, if John Lennon had called out to Jesus, the one he believed in for a moment and then turned away from, if he called out to the Lord, would the Lord have heard his prayer? And the answer is yes.
Tell us about the source and the research, the sources and the research involved in putting this book together. Who did you speak to? I'm sure that you recalled a lot from your own life and having the opportunity to meet many of these people.
Yes, well, I've always been a fan of pop culture. A lot of it was I already knew it from just reading and learning. I've met a lot of these people, like I know Lou Gramm, lead singer of Foreigner. I know Kerry Livgren. I know Richie Furay. I know Alice Cooper. So combination of knowing people personally, research, etc., putting it all together in hopefully a very interesting and readable format.
Lennon, Dylan, Alice, and Jesus. That's Pastor Greg Laurie's latest book, and you can snag a copy wherever you purchase your books. It's also available right now on audiobook as well.
Still to come.
I am one praise away, one praise away.
The Duchess of Praise and Worship.
When did you realize, okay, this is something I could do or that I'm going to do for a living? Because we're now on album number 3.
Yes.
So when did you realize this is...
Oh, gosh.
Marica Chisolm takes a seat in Studio 5 with a new album to share.
I know his name. I know his name. He is the mighty God. I know his name.
Introducing the CBN Bible from cbn.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
This is CBN News Watch.
Thanks for joining us.
Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN News Watch, because truth matters. Weekdays at 5 on the CBN News Channel.
At number 3.
I wanted to show them something that wasn't an illusion.
It's a Studio 5 first look at the 6th film in the mega Jurassic World franchise.
We can't keep her here forever.
If they find her, we're never going to see her again. We got to protect her. That's our job.
Humans and dinosaurs can't coexist.
Jurassic Films has always been a merging of science and imagination.
Jurassic World Dominion hits theaters next week.
and box office estimates exceed $400 million in the U.S. alone.
Children are fascinated by things that they can't possibly imagine, but do have proof of.
Ellie Sattler.
Alan Grant.
You didn't come out all this way just to catch up now, did you?
You coming or what?
At number 2.
Help us to love and see each other the way you love and see us.
That's Kirk Franklin joining his voice with Maverick City Music and inmates from Florida's Everglades Correctional Center.
Time is the kingdom, the power, the glory.
For an 11-track project. Kingdom Book 1 releases June 17th.
Forever and ever. He finished our story. He finished our story.
And welcome back to Studio 5. That's going to leave us just one more story in this week's countdown. We'll share it with you in just a little bit. Right now, we want to set the stage for Marica Chisolm, who's just released her 3rd album. It's a live recording called Seeker.
I will lift up your name. I will lift up your name. Jehovah, you're wonderful.
My introduction to Marica, and we sing it all the time, and I'm excited. I'm on the worship team, so whenever this song is on the list, I'm excited.
Yeah, I already knew what was coming. Higher is high energy. It's gonna make you move. It's just a good song.
His name, I know his name. His name is wonderful. I know his name. Yeah.
You've been singing for how long?
Oh gosh, I've been singing since I was 2. Now I don't know if it was good or not, but
I know his name. I know his name.
When did you realize, okay, this is something I could do or that I'm going to do for a living? Because we're now on album number 3.
Yes.
So when did you realize this is...
Oh gosh. So my story's a little different. I didn't come into worship saying, I'm called to worship. I came into leading worship because that was the it thing at the time, and my church needed a youth praise team. And they were like, well, you can sing. Get up here. I did that for a while, and then I did background, and I went on tour singing background with some artists. And then I want to say I guess I'm a late bloomer, because I was 25 when I really said, okay, this is what I'm called to do, not just, something I like doing.
And we're now sitting looking at your 3rd project, and this is called Seeker.
Seeker.
It's time for me to praise now. My breakthrough is near.
Tell me about the birth of this project and the process for you.
So, 2020, this pandemic has affected everybody. And I went through a time where people that were very close to me started passing away. And it wasn't due to COVID. It was just my father in ministry had cancer. And it only took 89 days from diagnosis to him passing. My best friend of over 20 years was murdered. My cousin, who was only 50 years old, had a brain aneurysm and died. So it was a lot of grief and sadness and depression. And I had to seek God. Like, what's next? What do you have for me? Because I know I'm not just supposed to be sad. So help me, Lord, as your scripture says, put on the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, because this heaviness is heavy. So I started seeking God in unconventional ways for me. So I had to seek God in a different way. And I pray that when people hear the album, they can hear that because it's authentic, and also they can then seek God for themselves. I think people connect when you're authentic, and you don't have to lie and just say, you know what, y'all, this is a hard day for me, but we're going to press in his presence. And there were Sundays that I got up and said, I'm not going to lie to y'all. And I'm really moving in the joy of the Lord is my strength. That's the only thing I have today. So we're just going to press and we're going to worship God together. And we just believe God. You know, I think authenticity is what people want now. We don't have to fake and we don't have to be phony and say all is well. Well, we speak in life that all is well, sure, but right now I'm sad. And the people that I'm ministering to, you may be sad too, but let me help you with something. The joy of the Lord really can be your strength.
I am one praise away from my breakthrough.
Again, this is Marica's third album. It is a live recording and it's called Seeker. It's available wherever you purchase your music. Before we take a pause for the cause, we want to share this week's story in pictures. Here's your Studio 5 snapshot.
This story begins with Trey Ganem. He owns Soulshine Industries, a custom casket making company in Edna, Texas. He and his son donated 19 custom caskets for the victims of the shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. They worked tirelessly to finish all 19 caskets over the holiday weekend. That includes designing them, assembling them, and delivering them to funeral homes. Ganem posted a message saying, "Please pray for Uvalde. I'm on my way to help families in this tragic time. This is something no family should ever have to deal with. My love and emotions are already there." His heart and his work is this week's Studio 5 Snapshot. Coming up next.
Okay, so first off, I just want to say, I get it.
You get what?
We enter the Marvel Universe.
Maybe they're right. It's not really the brown girls from Jersey City who save the world.
I wish that you would just focus on your story.
For its newest story and series, Ms. Marvel.
I'm a superhero.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back to Studio 5. We've got a new Marvel series to share. Just listen to this description. A great student, an avid gamer, a voracious fan fiction scribe. She also has an affinity for superheroes, particularly Captain Marvel. We have your Studio 5 first look at Ms. Marvel.
Okay, so first off, I just want to say, I get it.
You get what?
High school.
Kamala.
Another adventure shirt. Cute.
She thinks I'm some kind of weirdo.
You are a weirdo.
But you're staring out the window in your little fantasy land. Kamala, hey! Already? Really? Come on, like...
Do I have to figure out my whole future before lunch, or is there like... I'm a superhero now, so that's normal.
Another day in the Marvel Universe.
Kamala Khan is this passionate, creative high school kid.
She's going through all those awkward, cringeworthy moments.
Family drama, boy trouble, school problems. Are you following?
Yes, keep going.
And also, she's like a huge fan.
Big fan. Such a fan.
She is a fan of Captain Marvel.
Iman Vellani. That girl is Kamala Khan.
Kamala Kamala Khan discovers that she has the superpowers. She can manifest light. But being a superhero is not quite as simple.
Kamala's biggest conflict is with herself.
Maybe they're right. It's not really the brown girls from Jersey City who save the world.
I wish that you would just focus on your story.
You're Kamala Khan. You want to save the world, then you're going to save the world.
It's not about who you look like, the clothes you wear. It's about what you do with what you've been given.
I can't even put it into words how cold this is. It's very... My heart is very full.
What does it feel like?
Cosmic. I always thought I wanted this kind of life, but I never imagined any of this.
Do you even know what you are?
I'm a superhero.
And you'll soon be able to find Ms. Marvel on Disney's streaming platform. With that, we have made it to the final story in this week's uplifting entertainment countdown. Here's what's finishing on top this week. At number 1.
I wish to promote you, Mr. Presley.
Elvis has entered the building. A biopic about the King of Rock took over the Cannes Film Festival Wednesday evening. Stars Austin Butler and Tom Hanks hitting the red carpet, along with director Baz Luhrmann and Elvis's ex-wife Priscilla. Variety says the film scored a 12-minute standing ovation when it was over, and it opens in the U.S. June 24th.
The breakout star of the Elvis biopic is on the cover of the latest GQ, where he gives credit to an acting mentor who helped him land the big role.
Saving you from pipe dreams. I know now, from my own experience, that they're the things that can really poison.
Denzel Washington recommended Butler for the Elvis role based on his work with him on Broadway in 2018 in The Iceman Cometh. Butler tells GQ Denzel even mentored him back then, saying, "I sat down, it's just Denzel and me in this empty theater. He started giving me acting advice, and he really took me under his wing. He started telling me thoughts about the scene. Denzel always goes back to gratitude. I look at that for longevity in any career, having those moments where at the best of times or the worst of times, you're being grateful for what you actually have and having humility."
I'm not finished the race, but I feel like I've passed the baton. When you run a relay race, when you hand the baton off, you still run about 20, 30 yards behind the next person. So I'm still running, but I'm enjoying watching this generation take off, take the ball and run with it.
Still to come.
People in rock and roll that came to faith in Christ.
A final word from pastor, producer, and best-selling author, Greg Laurie.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Welcome back to Studio 5. Music drives this production each week, and this week it's Kirk Franklin and Maverick City Music. They're providing the soundtrack. Take a listen and hear why Kingdom is what's playing in my ear.
Give me that unison, give me that unison.
On that musical note, we are just about out of time for this edition of Studio 5. So let's look ahead to next week's rundown.
Hootie and the Blowfish drummer Jim Sonny Sonnenfeld peels back the curtain of his life with the band, with new music and...
In addition to your new music, you also have a memoir coming out as well.
Swimming with the Blowfish is a personal redemption story.
I want people to know that no matter what you think of someone in the media or in the entertainment world, it's rarely all of the story. So what I had to tell about was that there are successes, there are victories, but there's tragedies, there's difficulties that often the public doesn't see. One of those being my recovery from addiction, and so I wanted to give them that picture. And it's a nice story. I hope that it's for people who have enjoyed the band and for people that maybe haven't ever been big fans. It's a story that maybe will touch anyone's hearts.
And he's sharing his story in Studio 5.
And I hope you'll join us for that story and a lot more next week. Before we say goodbye this week, we want to return to Pastor Greg Laurie for today's final word. What surprised you most about including Bob Dylan? What did you learn? What was the biggest surprise?
Well, the conventional wisdom on Dylan, everyone knows Dylan made a public profession of faith. Robert Zimmerman, his real name, born in Minnesota, was raised in a Jewish home. And of course, he became a phenomenon. He's probably one of the most influential artists out there of all time, starting in folk music, then transitioning over to rock music. And so Dylan has always been a hard guy to pin down. So I would describe Bob Dylan as a work in progress, right? But aren't we all, Ephraim, works in progress? Listen, no one is beyond the reach of God. That's a big message of the book, Ephraim.
Yes.
No one is beyond the reach of God. The down and outer, the up and outer, the unknown, the famous, everybody needs Jesus.
Greg Laurie, thank you. That is a great final word for this edition of Studio 5 and this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone around you, and then please come on back. See what Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching.